I love scary movies. I love weird stuff. And the people who work at the company love scary movies. And I think that there are a lot of people who make scary movies who don't necessarily love them, or finance them, I should say, who don't necessarily love them. And I think that creeps into the DNA. If you're cynical about it, it creeps into the DNA of the movie, and people can feel that. And we're really not cynical about it. So hopefully that shows in most of the movies that we produce or finance. We did Paranormal Activity, and everyone around me was kind of saying, you should go make like World War Z. And that's the very typical Hollywood school of thought, is that if you have a hit movie, you should make more expensive movies. With everyone, directors too. You made a $10 million movie that was a big success, now you do a $60 million movie, which I think is totally stupid. And I was old enough to have that thought in my mind when the first Paranormal Activity happened. So instead of doing that, I used the Hollywood capital I had to make a bunch of low-budget movies. And what our movies are essentially are, the movies are made independently, totally outside the system, but released very traditionally, most of them. Studio releases, that's what Paranormal Activity was, made completely away and then released by Paramount in a very traditional way. And when that happened, I thought, instead of trying to make big movies, let's try and emulate that with scary movies. And so when we did Insidious, that was the next movie that we did.
Help.
We did Paranormal 2, and then we did Insidious. And people were like, wow, when we did Paranormal, everyone thought I was silly to make Insidious. And then they were like, well, maybe this is not a magic trick. Like, maybe this actually works. And then we did it with Sinister. And people still were like, huh. It wasn't actually until Purge that's when I felt that there was a radical transformation in people, like, okay, that guy's not crazy, like there is something to this. And actually after we made Purge, I used to always say, people, you would always ask me, are you worried about other people kind of replicating your model? And they didn't replicate the model for a long time because they didn't believe there was a model. Now people do replicate the model. It is something I definitely worry about or think about. I'm glad that there are other scary movies out there. Of course, I wish that we produced all of them, but we don't. And it took really 4 movies, different movies, to really have people very open to wanting to work with us, I guess is the best way to say it. My pitch got a lot easier after Purge, but even after 2 or 3 of them, it was not as easy as one would think it would have been.
Well, it's later than I thought. All right, it's time for lockdown.
The Purge is the ultimate low-budget, high-concept idea, right? So it's low budget because there's not too many speaking parts. There's 4 people in the movie. It takes place in one location. There are no special effects. And it's the highest concept of all time. Like, what if crime were legal for 12 hours a year? Now, that's very easy to look back on that and say that, but interestingly enough, the Purge script was around for 3 years. No one would make it. It was budgeted at $8 million, and the reason no one would make it is because, and I wouldn't make it either for $8 million, because the idea of crime being legal for 12 hours a year is now it's easy to say that's a great high concept idea, but before it was done, it's a very risky thing to do. Like, it could have, if James didn't get the tone right, it could have come off in a way that just everyone would be like, ugh, I'm not getting anywhere near that. But if you make it for 3, which is what we made it for, you really couldn't get hurt, and the rest is history on that. We've made 3 more. We're gonna make, hopefully make more, and I think there's a lot of places to go with that idea. It's one of my favorite franchises that we have because there's a big social message underneath it. It gets more and more timely, I'm sad to say. But it really is the ultimate of, once you say, what are you looking for? Like, I'm looking for low budget, high concept ideas, and it doesn't get more low budget or more high concept than that.
Just get it over with. Kill us quickly. Oh, for God's sake, just do it. Come on.
The problem with when you raise the budget on these movies is the tolerance for risk has to go way down. Mine would too. It's not that we're geniuses, but if I was making $20 million movies, then yeah, 10 minutes you have to have a scare, and you have to be 15 jump scares, and there's all these rules. I think the audience senses that, and it's why the movies feel vanilla. And luckily, because we make low-budget movies, when we're looking for new either finished movies or scripts, I really talk to our executives a lot about looking for things that aren't like other movies. And that's because our movies are inexpensive, so we can try new and different things. If Ouija 2 was a $25 million movie, it never could have been the things that it couldn't have been, period. It couldn't be this, it couldn't be that. There's also an endless conversation when you make scary movies about trying to pull that first scare up. I don't really believe in that. The first scare in Paranormal Activity comes 40 minutes into the movie. So I don't really believe in that. I think people are smarter than that. I think the scare is much more effective if you can get people invested in the story. And every so often we have movies that if a scare organically works 10 minutes into the story, great. But I think if you force it in there, then the audience may not be aware why they don't like the movie, but the movie is less effective. So we try and think in the reverse of kind of the typical Hollywood thinking about these movies. We pick filmmakers that we believe in. More often than not, they're not first-time. I think first-time filmmakers actually, unfortunately, the system doesn't work like this, but first-time filmmakers need much more money because they are learning, right? But filmmakers who know what they're doing actually can work with much less. So we pick filmmakers that we really like and really believe in their vision, and we support it, which again is kind of a much more European model. And we're applying what is a European model to very kind of commercial ideas. And that's, I mean, I spoke about that a little bit before, but I think that creates, hopefully, movies that may be all scary, but feel scary in very different ways.
Someone's coming for you.
Who's coming?
The beast.
The horror fans and horror filmmakers are incredibly supportive of each other. When we finish a movie, you know, we finished the first Ouija movie, and it wasn't what we hoped it would be. We screened it in our office for 10 filmmakers that love scary movies and got a lot of different ideas and really worked on the movie, and I think improved the movie a lot. And we do that with almost all of our movies. And the directors are really anxious to help each other out, and no one get paid for that. You know, it's like I'll send an email out to the 10 kind of filmmakers that we work with once every couple months, and I'll say, hey, we have a new movie, will you come watch it? And almost all of them come, and we talk for 2 hours afterwards, and we really help each other out. I do not think that exists to that degree in other genres. I mean, maybe comedy, although funnily enough, I think the sets of comedies kind of famously are actually not that fun, and the set of horror movies are really fun. So I do really feel like the horror community is unique in that way and really supportive of each other, and that's because we are outcasts. 80% of Hollywood looks down on horror, yeah, for sure. But that energizes me, and it actually makes me more invested in scary movies and horror. I mean, I love that because I like it's fun to be the outsider for me. I've always actually been felt like that, so it's a comfortable place for me, and I love it because it makes me fight, and I also, I really fundamentally think that is it's a really short-sighted point of view, and I'm happy to, fight it with actions rather than words. And just to clarify that, my mother and father can't stand horror movies. That's not the issue that I have. A lot of people don't like horror movies, and that I totally get. But what I do have taken issue with, which also a lot of people think they're kind of lesser in some way, and that's what revs me up.